Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Solar Coaster Sales channel. Today on Tech Tuesday, we're going to talk about the hottest thing in the solar tech market, and that is solar storage. Yep, that's right. We're talking about batteries today, how it affects you and your company, your homeowners, what batteries may be right, and when to offer them. All right, first I want to give a little bit of background on the battery technology as a whole so you can be educated and you can help your homeowners be educated as well. So let's talk a little about the history of batteries. First batteries that hit the market were called lead acid batteries. These are still utilized in some situations, particularly where in areas or homes that aren't going to have high use. Maybe a log cabin that you're going to use a couple months out of the year. Shorter lifespan, less number of life cycles, which I'll explain later what cycles mean when we look at some of the batteries and their warranties, but still utilized because they're low cost, easy to install, and make sense in certain areas. However, the remaining batteries that are currently going into over 95% of residential solar installs are lithium ion batteries, okay? And there's two main types of lithium ion batteries. The first or older generation are the lithium, magnesium, cobalt, oxide batteries. Okay, these are older technology, but the more widely used versus the lithium phosphate batteries. Now, how batteries actually work is when they charge and discharge, they are utilizing these chemical reactions to store electricity. But that being said, the chemical reaction can't go on forever. So if you've ever had a cell phone that you've used for 2 or 2.5 years, you'll notice that at some point it stops holding that charge. You know, maybe by noon every day, it's now at 20% battery. That is the same thing that happens to these batteries. And you'll see that when we start looking at these warranties. So the biggest difference between the lithium phosphate is going to be the longevity of it. It's going to last a little bit longer. You're going to get more cycles out of it. And also it's a little bit more environmentally friendly due to the cobalt aspect of the lithium, magnesium, cobalt oxide batteries. Cobalt is extremely hard to recycle and extremely tough on the environment. So that's why a lot of solar storage is now moving to that lithium phosphate. All right, so let's talk about the four most popular batteries on the market. These four batteries capture more than 90% of the entire market share for residential solar installs. All right, so first one, probably the most popular one, the Tesla Powerwall. Okay, the Tesla Powerwall is a 13.2 kilowatt hour battery with a 5 kilowatt max output. All right, so when you're looking at batteries, it's important to understand the difference between kilowatts and kilowatt hours. So kilowatts, the 5 kilowatt is going to be the max it can export at any given time. But the 13.2 kilowatt hours is the total capacity of the battery. So kilowatt hours is electricity usage over time, whereas kilowatt is a peak amount of electricity used at one time. And now how to kind of think about this is to turn on an air conditioner, it requires 4 kilowatts of electricity for most of them. Some, I mean, obviously it's a general number. That means you need 4 kilowatts at one time to boom, to make that, to get it turned on. Versus running an entire home is going to be measured in kilowatt hours. So kilowatts versus kilowatt hours, and this is power over time. So when you look at a typical homeowner's electricity bill, they'll have kilowatt hours per month, or some might even say kilowatt hours per day. So that is how you'd kind of determine, could this battery run the entire home, and for how long could it run the home for? So if they use, let's say 26 kilowatt hours in a day, this could run that home for half the day. Now, obviously, it depends on, is it the middle of the day when the air conditioner is running and all these other factors, but just understand that this is really what's important here. In most cases is the kilowatt hours, because that's how much storage and how much you're going to actually be able to run the home over an extended period of time. All right, next, the in-phase. In-phase batteries, what makes them unique is that their battery comes in a 1.2 kilowatt hour, 0.26 kilowatt measurement. All right. And so what that means is that you can customize this however you want. If you did 10 of these all stacked together, then that would generate a 12 kilowatt hour, 2.6 kilowatt max output battery. Because if you took 10 of these, I just multiplied these numbers by 10. So it's unique in the sense that it can have customizability of how big and how much storage you actually want within this battery setup. Okay. Next is Generac power cell. Now Generac's famous for their generators, but they also do make a strong solar storage battery. And Generac has their battery is a 9 kilowatt hour with a 4.5 kilowatt peak. And now you can stack 2 of those together to double these numbers. And then the final battery we're going to talk about is the LG Chem Resu. All right, and that LG Chem is a 9.6 kilowatt hour with a 5 kilowatt peak. Okay, now, so if you kind of take a look at these, you'll notice that you do have the Tesla Powerwall with the highest kilowatt hours kind of as their base model, but do understand that the LG Chem, the Generac, the Enphase, all of these are stackable, meaning that you could put a second one of these and essentially double that storage capacity. Okay, now this is kind of just to give you an idea of what their general capacity is and then their max output. And as you can see, there is some variation. You know, you're getting higher storage here with a lower peak output here. You know, but generally it's ranging. You have 9 kilowatt hours here, 9.6 here, 4.5 to 5. It's kind of scales with it. Tesla with having the highest storage with that that peak output as well. Now, the next thing we want to take into consideration when it comes to batteries is going to be the warranty aspect of it. Now, all of these warranties are pretty similar, but it's important to understand what it actually means and what they cover. So for the Tesla Powerwall, they have a 10-year warranty that guarantees 70% capacity at that 10-year mark. So like we talked about at the beginning of this video, once that cell phone starts not holding the charge as well, the same thing happens with these batteries. And so what this warranty says is that after 10 years, it will be able to hold 70% of its maximum charge. Meaning that now, if it originally was a 13.2, you take 13.2 times 0.7, and that's the new storage capacity of that battery. So as you can see, it really starts degrading over time. And as you move past 10 years, the guarantees go away and you can expect the degradation to happen even more rapidly. All right. Now with the Enphase also has a 10-year 70% guarantee. It is extendable by 5 years to give you that 15-year warranty. However, the capacity does drop there. So no matter what you're looking at, you're kind of getting the same basic warranty because they're using, at the end of the day, the same general technology that just simply put over time is going to degrade. Next comes the LG Chem, the Generac. The Generac has a 10-year. Their warranty is a little bit different. They have a 10-year or 7.56 megawatt hours, whichever comes sooner. So this is a measurement of however much electricity actually pushes out through the battery. If more than 7.56 megawatts, and when I do, I have another video that you guys can check out when we start talking about getting kilowatt hours to megawatt hours and how to convert with the metric system. We got to go back to elementary school when we learned the metric system, but it's important to understand the metric system and how it affects different things like this within the solar industry. But this is kilowatts going to big M megawatts, okay? And then the LG Chem. The LG Chem has a 10-year battery or 10-year warranty at either 60 to 70%, depending on what version of the LG Chem battery you choose. One of the other things that is kind of unique out of these batteries is that the Enphase also has a 4,000 cycle limit. which this means a cycle is one charge and discharge. So if you think about using a battery, you'd use it at night and then you'd recharge it during the day. So that charge and discharge is one cycle. You know, there's 365 days in a year. So 365 times 10 years gives you 3,650 cycles. So you can kind of see they say either 10 years or 4,000 cycles, kind of like a car warranty where it's, 5 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. Same thing that you see down here with Generac, a 10-year or a 7.56 megawatts, megawatt per hour. Same idea. They're saying either it's going to be 10 years or a certain amount of electricity going out. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. In most cases, you're going to have one cycle per day. So a 10-year, it doesn't really matter that they're limiting at 4,000 cycles because you're only going to get 3,650. All right. So just a quick recap. Most of the batteries, all 4 of these batteries are lithium phosphate based batteries. They are the newest in technology. The other big thing to consider is your storage versus your max output. Kilowatt hours is your storage, and how you can determine how long this battery can power a home is you look at the homeowner's individual power bill and see what they're using on a daily basis. And then obviously it depends on the month. If they're very heavily using electricity on air conditioning, if it's July, guess what? This battery may only last half a day versus December. This battery might last a whole day. And then the other big thing to consider is your max output. When you're going to start appliances, especially appliances that control temperature. So air conditioners, heaters, ovens, dryers, electric water heaters, anything that's temperature, microwaves even a little bit, air fryers a little bit, but dishwashers, those are what's going to require the large amount of initial startup electricity. Like I mentioned earlier, an air conditioner is 4 kilowatts. A stove could be 6 kilowatts depending on how large it is. So some of these batteries will not start larger appliances potentially. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Depending on what you're using a battery for, just keep that in mind. There's ways to use batteries in conjunction with generators that we'll cover in other videos in the future. But final thing we talked about also is the warranties. As you can see, warranties are pretty standard. Most of them are about 10 years, but that's important to understand that these batteries' expected lifespans only a little bit over 10 years, maybe 15 at the most. So it's not going to last the lifespan of the solar system. So in many cases, if you have a good net metering policy with your local utility company, from an economic standpoint, it's going to be a better investment for the homeowner to not do a battery at this time, because the battery simply isn't going to have a good return on investment. If they're worried about protecting their home during times of stress and when the electrical grid may have failed or you have a power outage, the recommendation here would be to do a generator, perhaps in conjunction, but a generator should be the first investment before a solar storage option. All right. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, or any recommendations for other Tech Tuesdays. My name's Kody Landals. I help roofing companies add solar to their business seamlessly and while increasing their profits and also minimizing customer headaches. So if you're interested in learning more about how to add solar to your business, I have partnered with Adam Bensman, the roof strategist, to offer the Roof with Solar Success formula. If that's something you're interested in, text the word DEMO, D-E-M-O, to 303-222-7133. So text DEMO to the number in the comments. I look forward to working with you guys.